What's up, guys and gals? It's your host of the most, Griever, as always, and today I'm bringing you not only a prediction video, but a ranking video. Yes, that's right, we're doing a double whammy today about the manga series Tenkaichi, and I'm not going to try to pronounce the rest of this title. We're just going to stick with the one I can pronounce, the one word of the series, Tenkaichi, another tournament manga series based in Japan with a lot of historical fighters and figures in this series. And so far, if you guys didn't catch it, I live streamed catching up to the end of round 4. Apparently round 5 is currently ongoing, yet not finished from what I understand. So definitely go check out that live stream and stuff, because we're probably going to not be reviewing the series, you know, month to month, week to week, anything like that. But once a couple of rounds end, we'll probably periodically be doing a stream, sort of a catch-up stream, if you will, because the last one was successful, had a lot of fun with it. It was nice and long, almost 5 hours long, I believe. So, but today I did promise in that live stream, people asked for, well, what is your favorite fight so far? And what do you like? What's your predictions? What predictions are you going forward with the rest of the matchup? So, and I did this for the Kengan. I've done this for Kengan Omega, and I did it for the Kengan Asura read-through live stream. So I thought, you know what? What the hell? Why not do it again? And I mean, clearly there is no other reason, not a single other reason to read this series other than the great choreography and the fighting and just everything else. You know, our love of the sword, our love of battle, our love of bloodlust and samurai, you know, that kind of thing. That's definitely what is super appealing to a lot of readers. Yeah. Anyways, so once again, I told you guys this would be both a prediction video and a ranking video. So quick cut here before we get on with the rest of the video. I realized after I did the ranking portion of this recording that the runtime was getting a little long for including both the ranking and the predictions in this particular video. As such, instead of splitting it up and changing the intro and all that stuff, I decided to just stop you right here and say, hey, the ranking of course is going to be first, but over here is going to be the timestamp. Once I'm finished editing and recording, here's the timestamp where the predictions start. So definitely check that out if all you care about is the predictions. You're not really interested in my thoughts on the first 4 matches of round 1 of Tenkaichi, and you're more interested in the prediction part of the video. I just thought I'd put this here at the beginning to say, hey, here's the prediction section. The rest up until this timestamp will be, of course, the rankings from round 1 through 4 and my personal feelings about why I enjoyed each of the 4 matches of Tenkaichi up to this point. So there you go, back to the rest of the video. Well, as we haven't reached the second round yet, but we have gone through at the very least the first 4 matches, I figured why not just go in order from left to right. We'll do the ranking part first, and then once the ranking is of course done, we will go through and talk about the remaining fights of the first bracket of the tournament, and I'll give you my predictions then. So it's all going to be chronologically in order. Doesn't that work out nice? So to start us off, why don't we go with my least favorite fight. We'll go from my least favorite up to my favorite fight. We'll talk about it a little bit, and then we'll move on to the prediction part. So I think my least favorite fight would be round 3. Now, or match 3. I got to get out of that Record of Ragnarok style of saying things, because match 3, I think a lot of people sort of disapproved of. There was a lot going into this one, and honestly, I could have kind of seen it gone either way. See, the big thing about making predictions, and when you make a tournament-based manga, not just a tournament arc, but a tournament-based manga, especially with character deaths, is like a more serious manga like this is, or Record of Ragnarok, or what have you, is usually the most aesthetically pleasing designs and the most out there and the wacky ones and the ones that are the most unique tend to survive for the sole purpose of, well, that sole purpose. I mean, at the very end of a matchup, if you had this huge tournament with like 32 or 64 combatants, you wouldn't want the last half of your series to contain only honorable samurai archetype characters. You wouldn't want it to contain only ninjas. You wouldn't want it to contain only pirates or swordsmen or, I don't know, people who practice karate, right? You want some uniqueness. You want differences to keep the reader entertained, to keep everyone entertained, the audience within the manga, the speculation of the readers, and of course the excitement of the manga to draw it. So round 3, I say all this to say that round 3 was the epitome of this, because not only do you have a foreigner in a relatively pretty much Japanese and samurai ninja based combatants in this tournament in Tenkaichi, you have this European guy, William Adams, who honestly I find to be a very well-designed character. Really liked his aesthetic, liked his design and stuff like that. And you could say, well, he's unique, we're going to keep him around for at least a couple of rounds sort of idea. The issue is, and this is why I would have bet on the one he was facing, Yagyu, was the fact that he was already introduced in Chapter 1. This guy, not only is he part of the Oda clan, the Oba Nobunaga clan, or Nobutada is the one that actually sponsors him, I believe, but he has been around and been an observer for so long, it was very unlikely that he was going to lose his initial first fight sort of idea. You can sort of see the plot convenience to a degree. It's like, well, we saw this guy in Chapter 1. He's been hanging around this whole time. He's a fighter. He's a swordsman. We sort of know that he's not just a chump. He's not going to lose his first round, even though he's up against a unique fighter, a foreigner, an Englishman, fights with a different type of style. They fight on a boat. Everything's different. He uses a European style, using a dirk sword and that kind of idea. But at the end of the day, we sort of knew, we had the feeling that this guy was one of the top contenders since the series began. And as a result, it sort of took a little bit out of it. And I felt, I didn't mind that it was a sort of a mid-diff fight, to use a power scaling term. I didn't mind that it was a mid to low diff fight and stuff. I think that's what's missing from some tournament mangas. Looking at you, Wreck-It Ragnarok. But this particular one, it's just two characters that I actually personally like, William Adams, but some of the shit he says is kind of like, ugh, And then this guy, there's certainly with his backstory, there is nothing to like about this guy. There is nothing to like about this character. So I have a character I know who's going to lose, and a character who's powerful, but creeps me the fuck out and I don't want to support. So it's sort of like, can we just move on and get to other fights? Because honestly, I know what the outcome's going to be. It was pretty obvious, pretty predictable. And even though the fights, the hype beasts, or the, whatever you want to call them, the representation with a Reaper god and then this, dragon Leviathan of the sea was incredibly cool and stuff like that. And there was nothing wrong with the artwork. It was a short-lived fight. And yeah, like two sort of, you're either in a camp of both characters unlikable, or at the very least one character is unlikable. So, it's really got to sit at the bottom. Not that I minded reading through it. It just, the other rounds I think were overall better. So with that, we'll move on to my next choice. So I feel like my second and third place choice have kind of gone back and forth over the last few days. I feel like they're pretty even, so take it what you will with that statement. But at the end of the day, I think I'm going to put round 2. Round 2 is going to be my third choice. Once again, another one that I felt was completely predictable as a result of there only being one woman fighter. Now, once again, I'm not going to dispute why this particular fight was good. It was actually very good. It was very entertaining. The art was just absolutely phenomenal in this particular fight. I really enjoyed the fight. And here's the thing, I also really like both characters. Their backstories are fine. Their fighting styles are cool, and the way they fought each other was I won't say like super unique to manga in general, but it was a good taste of, all right, we're doing some cool stuff here. We're differing, and we're not just fighting in an arena, we're fighting in the forest, and we're using the environment a little bit, and there's uses of weapons and stuff like that, sort of unique to some tournament mangas and stuff. And once again, I really like Toda, the blind samurai, master of the blade and stuff like that, who I feel never truly reached his full potential, regardless of what the manga says. He never got to reach his full potential. Realistically, had he been a younger man when he fought this, and had he mastered the blade earlier, had the same motivation into his, later years, maybe the outcome of this fight would have been different. Or had his grandson survived and actually surpassed him like he had intended him to, maybe these things would have happened differently. But who we got as a character was interesting. I really liked, how the grief and the devastation of different aspects he was okay with, and some stuff. Was he batshit crazy, or was there seriously someone else? Like, it's little... The cool thing about round 2 is it leaves a lot up to interpretation with Toda as a character. Was he a little crazy? Of course he was definitely a little crazy, but was everything his imagination, or was there something more? Was his grandson's soul really trying to help him out and stuff, and if you like the idea of a sort of, I guess, a bit of a happy ending or a send-off for him, maybe you like to believe that, you know what I mean? So it definitely had the feels, and of course Fuma's backstory was definitely heart-wrenching, to say the least, and it was definitely well-paced. There wasn't a whole lot of fat on that backstory. They got to the point very quickly, and we already know exactly what went down, the devastation. Now, once again, Fuma's not exactly a woman I'd like to date necessarily, but we all know why people really like Fuma. Yep. Her personality and red hair. People love redheads. That's definitely it. Those are definitely the two main reasons as to why people love Fuma. But yeah, to me it was pretty obvious that the old man thing. We have a couple other old men, and we'll get to that. We have a couple other seasoned men, and at least two very old men, being Toda and of course Kami on this one. That both of them, we weren't going to have the old man thing forever anyways. The only woman on the team and stuff. So once again, kind of predictable how this fight was going to go, and that's another reason why I'm going to have it in the third place and not the second place. I really like the fight, and I don't really have much of any problems with round 2. It's just that, and so it's still a good fight. All these fights are good. It's just that at the end of the day, both rounds 2 and 3 had a predictable outcome of who was going to win, just based on the matchups alone, where I found that, there were some differences going forward for the other ones. So, anyways, that's my third pick. Let's move on to the second. So I hear my second pick is a lot of people's favorite round, and I can definitely understand why, but my second pick is going to be round 4. Now, for those of you who don't know, and I'm not going to really reiterate it here, there was a huge discussion on it, and we went on for 45 minutes, an hour, discussing my personal issues from my perspective that I had with certain aspects of round 4. But suffice it to say, I felt that our sumo god of physical strength had one too many convenient, this is why he doesn't die, things, and why the Sword Saint inevitably ended up losing. So, and there's a big comparison between round 1 and round 4 in the fact that both combatants, and I think we can freely talk about which round is my favorite, but the fact of the matter is that both Honda and the Sword Saint both decided that winning the battle was going to be irrelevant if they weren't going to be able to stick around to win the war, being reach the end of the tournament. So the fact that they both did the same idea and stuff like that, it was sort of like it was a little soon to be doing that and stuff. And once again, this is my only real criticism of round 4, because I thought round 4 had me on the edge of my seat. I loved watching the Sword Saint. I loved his development and all that stuff. It was just near the very end and the later end of the fight where it just kept seeming like it was like stacking power-ups and strength and opening gates, and I have Wolverine skeleton on top of having Wakatsuki muscles, and I can do what you can do. I can open the gates of Might Guy and all these crazy things. Like I'm gonna do Prince of Tennis here and open the Pinnacle of Perfection just for fun. And I just felt like that it was trying to like one up itself a little too much near the end of the fight. But that was my only criticism. Round 4 was a fucking delight to read. Just just chapter to chapter, especially on stream, I find myself a little more elevated and a little more getting into it, especially when I have a good chat going and stuff like that that's getting into it as well. Round 4 would have been my favorite round if not for round 1 so far. Round 4, even with my criticism of round 4, it was just a fucking delight to read. Let's be real. It was just a great fight. It was nice and long, maybe a little too long, another minor nitpick, but the whole idea of a cage match, the Sword Saint, I mean, he was a fun character leading up to it. The fact that he was only dreaming about titties and stuff like that. Like, there was stuff there. It was just enjoyable for the most part. That being said, and his backstory was really cool. Of course, Hino's backstory was a little questionable for a lot of people. It was certainly questionable for me in the chat at the time when I did the live stream. But once again, overall, not that I'm really a fan of the outcome of the fight. The fight itself was still some of the best art, some of the best choreography, some of the best uses of two styles meeting up and stuff like that, and definitely a good knowledge of swordsmanship and a great knowledge of sumo went into this fight. I felt like there was a lot of research done. So anyway, I just think it was a very important fight to both the mangaka and I guess the readers to really enjoy it and get into the thrall of it. So yeah, round 4, you know, I can't place it any lower right now. It was a great fight. So, and of course, I guess you guys know what my first pick is. So I could make a joke here about how it's not round 1, but I couldn't really think anything on the fly, and it's getting kind of late while I'm recording here, so let's just get right on with it. Round 1. Round 1 was my favorite fight, and it's funny enough that I have my two favorite fights overall both have a bit of a nitpick, and they're both very similar in the way they end. Is that at the end of the day, the better fighter chooses not to win their battle because they know they can't win the war, or the fact that that was their end goal. In the Sword Saint's case, he really wanted someone to push him all the way to the limits, as we saw, and now that he had fought that battle, the outcome was irrelevant. It did not matter. The Sword Saint had his final great fight that he had been waiting for almost his entire life. And so the rest of the fights would have been meaningless to him anyways. And instead of taking that away from his opponent, he said, nah, we're good, you know? And in this particular case, Honda was the same vein, slightly different up against Musashi. Was the fact that he knew that by sacrificing his left arm to win the fight, he never would have been able to go on and win the war. He wouldn't have been able to fight in his second and third fight and stuff, no matter how great a general, no matter how powerful this man was. And I guess some people are saying this fight subverted expectations, and maybe we'll get to that in a second. But at the end of the day, Honda was a great damn character. He just had this charisma right out of the page. The moment you met him, it was just like this, you understood him. And his retainer, Tokugawa, was... I really am upset that we don't get more of him, because I sort of felt like we were doing a bit of a Kengan thing. I thought we were doing a bit of an Oma and Kazi thing. That's what I thought. And once again, spoiler alert for Kengan, Oma didn't win. But they went the goddamn distance, didn't they? So I sort of felt like we were going to follow Tokugawa, and they characterized Tokugawa and Honda's relationship as so far the best relationship in this whole damn series. Easy. The characters with the best relationship, and it's sad that we're not going to see more of that, because of course Honda does lose his fight to Musashi. Now, personally speaking, I was right out of the gate sort of dismayed by this round, because round 1 had great combat. Short, sweet, to the point. And in a lot of ways, very similar to Record of Ragnarok, which has been compared to many times. Ever since I did the stream and stuff, I'm seeing a lot of people talking about these are the two tournament mangas going on and the similarities between them. It's very similar to Thor versus Lubu. It's very similar to a just meatheads bashing in quick. Doesn't take up a whole lot of pages, doesn't take up a whole lot of our time. It's just, I'm going to kick your ass and I'm going to kick your ass, and they go for death blows since the beginning. Nothing wrong with that. It felt simplistic, it felt easy, it felt enjoyable. And Honda, as I said, Honda right out of the way jumps off the page to me, along with his relationship with Tokugawa, just jumps off the page to me as, alright, I can stand this man, you know? So round one for me was just an enjoyment, mostly due to Honda and Tokugawa, honestly. Musashi doesn't impress me. This is an interesting interpretation of Musashi. But, as I said, even though Tokugawa is supposed to overtake and stuff like that, as we know in actual history, the manga both tells us, don't trust history so much. Don't trust history so much. We're doing our own thing here. It tells us that. And then, even though, yes, Honda might be famous, and yes, Tokugawa was supposed to take over from the Oda clan, the Oda Nobunaga clan, Musashi, widely considered the greatest samurai, the greatest warrior to ever live by many people, wins his first fight. I mean, in all honesty, yeah, you could argue that, Tokugawa winning is the more obvious choice, and I'm saying no, Musashi's way more famous, honestly. To most people who read manga and most people who do history, Musashi's legend is on par or not better than Tokugawa. So at the end of the day, I just felt that it was such an obvious, Honda's the better fighter, the stronger fighter, but Musashi's going to inevitably win because of, well, he's the popular one, you know? He's one of the most popular samurai in pop culture and in fiction due to his legend of real life. So I just felt that personally round one had that one niche holding it back. It had that one niche holding it back. Once again, I don't think any of these fights are actually perfect because of, different reasons, but I still just really enjoyed round one. And even though I like that Musashi recognized that and he goes, I should have lost this. If this was just a one-on-one duel battle to the death, no tournament, you would have won because you would have sacrificed your arm and killed me. That would have been the end of it. Honda could have won that fight, but he knew that by sacrificing his arm, he's not arrogant enough to think that he can beat all these guys being a one-armed swordsman or a one-armed spearman. He knows he can't do it, so he said, I'll take a gamble. He still tried to win, but he took a very high-risk gamble and lost the gamble. And it's respectable. It's respectable because he said to Tokugawa at the end, and he defended his lord, and he defended everybody. And what a beautiful send-off and stuff, and Tokugawa crying over his corpse and stuff. It was just, as I said, it was the most emotional to me so far, and I've only caught up to the end of round 4, but I found it the most emotional right out of the gate for some reason. So round 1 not only hit me in the great art, great fighting, great choreograph, great character models, all that stuff, but also hit me in the feels in a way that round 2, 3, and 4 still haven't done quite the same yet. So we'll have to wait and see what round 5 holds, of course, and round 6. But those are my rankings. Now, I think it's finally time we can move on to the predictions. Yeah. So now we move on to the predictions, matches 5 through 8 of the first round of Tenkaichi. Now, before we get underway with those actual predictions, I just want to tell you guys what my honest predictions would have been, if you don't want to count them as part of my score, because I like to do that. I did it for the Berserker Bowl and in Kengan Omega, and I did it for the Kengan Annihilation Tournament in Kengan Asura. I do like, with tournament brackets, I like to keep score. I really do. I like to see how right I am, or how wrong I am, that is. So once again, you guys cannot count these numbers if you think it's unfair, since I already knew the outcome and stuff, and it's like, of course you would say that. But once again, these are honestly the people I would have picked in not round 1, but match 1. I would have picked Musashi. I wanted Honda to win, and I liked Honda more as a character, still do, but Musashi's name alone is the most famous of everybody on this goddamn tournament list. There's no way he's losing round 1, regardless what the manga was going to tell me and said, this is not history as you know it, ho ho ho, expect the unexpected. Nah, Musashi is not only a young kid, this is an old general, he's Musashi. Yeah, that's all the reasoning I need. So I easily would have went with the victor there, even though I would have preferred a different outcome. Round 2, I would have picked Fuma, even once again, I would have preferred Toda to win. And the reason being is because she's the only woman on the, and we already talked about this previously in the video and in the live stream, diversity matters. Keeping the tournament, especially a tournament, not even an arc, but a tournament manga fresh, you need to keep the diversity alive. You need to keep the uniqueness alive. The most batshit out there left field fighting styles and character designs. And character design means skin color, gender, and all that stuff too. The way they dress, the way they act, the way they behave. You need to keep the most unique and versatility as part of your tournament as you go forward. So killing off the only woman in the tournament, yeah, no, I didn't think that was going to happen. So definitely would have bet on Fuma. In round 3, this was probably the hardest pick because you have the diversity with William Adams, a English foreigner, but you also had a guy who was set up really well. I'll be honest with you, maybe had I not read round 3 beforehand and been asked to predict, maybe I would have went with William Adams. Maybe I would have taken the dark horse, the long shot, and that's what it would have been. And I've been known to do that. You know, my record isn't perfect with any tournament manga, but I really think that if I had made the prediction, it would have been Saikyou, because once again, as I already explained in my round 3 discussion, match 3 discussion, he was set up way too much to lose round 1. He's too set up. He's part of the actual Oda family and stuff like that. He's just, his backstory was long. It never was going to be. Once again, the backstory doesn't matter, but in that regard. But it just, nah. At best, I would have said like 70-30, but yeah. So if you want to count that as maybe, or just not count that at all, I still think at the end of the day I would have went with Saikyou. That's my only questionable one. I easily would have went with Musashi and Fuma, and I think I would have went with Saikyou. Round 4 would have lost. Match 4 absolutely would have lost. Would have bet on Sword Saint 100%, no question. Not even 99-1. Would have bet on Sword Saint 100%. So I'll take that L. That's an L. So realistically, we're standing 3-1 before we move on to match 5. If you want to say it's 2-2 because I was sort of unsure about match 3, or if you want to discount those records altogether and said you would have taken 4 L's, we don't know. All right, I'm just telling you what I would have done. So, anyways, regardless of knowing the outcome. So, anyways, that being said, if you want to count it or not count it, it's fine. Moving on to match 5, however, it's the hardest one out of, from 5 to 8, hardest round to pick for me. Hardest one. Easy. Because you have the famous Hattori Hanzo. And you also have the even more famous Sasaki Kojiro. What the hell do I do here? This is a 50-50 shot. I have no idea. If we're subverting expectations, we go with Hanzo, I feel. If we go with the obvious choice, we go with Kojiro. And once again, like I'm telling you guys, this is why I still say I'm 3-1. Round 3, or match 3, I would have gone, even though I liked William Adams better, like his design better, and the idea of diversity still matters. Nope. I still probably would have went with, the Mr. I kill animals for fun as a child because I'm a creep. So, I think I gotta go with Sasaki Kojiro. Still haven't seen the man's face, for God's sakes. I mean, I won't be unhappy with whoever wins. So far, their characterizations, I actually like Hanzo a little more, but we haven't seen much from Sasaki yet. He had an interaction with Musashi and stuff there in the tree and stuff. It's sort of the idea that Musashi and Kojiro are going to be the finalists sort of idea because they have to have their epic duel. Once again, that could also happen though, like Kengan did it, can happen outside of the tournament, like Setsuna and Oma finished their sort of rivalry, their plot fight outside of the tournament as a whole. So it's entirely possible that that can happen in between. so it's not set in stone. But I really fail to see that Kojiro's going to lose this one. I don't know. I think it's the obvious choice, but I think I'm going to go with the obvious choice right now. I think I'm going to pick the obvious ones, and we'll see what happens. Though if Hanzo wins, I'm betting on Hanzo next match. 100%. If Hanzo wins, Hanzo gets my vote from here on out. No different than the Berserker Bowl prediction. Match number 6 is... It's Yasuke. Yasuke wins. Once again, diversity. Simple as that. I can't see... it's no different than round 2, man. It's no different than match 2. I can't see past it. I can't see past it. Diversity is what keeps entertainment. It's what keeps people interested. It's what keeps both the mangaka, the readers, the audience, everybody interested. The editors. So, yeah. I didn't see Togo beating Yasuke. I just don't. And Yasuke apparently is very famous. I haven't heard of either one of these, honestly. I actually haven't. But, you know, or if I have, it's only been in passing or in another manga series. So, not very familiar at the very least. I'm not very familiar with either story. But based on diversity alone, I'm going with Yasuke. Simple. Next up is match number 7, and though I want Junsuke. I want Junsuke to win this one. I really do. The Brat's gonna win. Yeah. Once again, you gotta keep, you know, if you had Honda win, Toda win, even William Adams win, or Yayo, round 3 really doesn't matter. The Sword Saint win. Kojiro or Hanzo, doesn't matter. Toga win. Like, all the old samurai one sword style guys win. You know what I mean? How boring is rounds 2 and 3 in this tournament bracket if it's just old samurai general in his 30s to 60s versus old samurai general guy in his 30s to 60s? There's no diversity there, and even though it would be entertaining from an art standpoint, I mean, how many times do you want to watch two like, as I said, maybe subvert expectations a little bit here, but, you know, I just feel like, nah, this guy's the monk, he's young, he's a brat, he's arrogant as fuck. I don't feel it. Once again, I want him to lose. If Jinsuke wins, not saying I'm going to bet on him against Ito, because, well, you can already guess, everybody's betting on Ito. I don't know a single person not betting on Ito. Itosai is going to the finals, more than likely. Like, he is just the man. But yeah, if Jinsuke wins, I'd be more than happy with that. I want this brat out of here. I really do. But I think, once again, just looking at it from a predictability standpoint, where we don't really know how they fight yet and stuff like that, when we get to round 2, we'll have a better idea about their different strengths, weaknesses, how they fight and stuff like that. And we'll be able to gauge less on just appearance and personality and, you know, not political correctness. I don't think that's the case. I think it's just entertainment and interesting. Keeping things fresh and interesting is adding in all the colors of the rainbow, so to speak. Not just, you know, keeping it the same black and white forever. So, in that regard, you keep the young, the old, you keep the foreigners, you keep the different fighters. In that regard, that's why I'm so conflicted about not choosing the ninja Hanzo over Kojiro, where we already have a couple of samurai in the mix. So, yeah, match 5 is honestly my hardest pick, which I'm still 50-50 on. But I'm locking it in at Kojiro, and I can't change it. I gotta lock it in. So I'm going to lock it in at Kojiro, but I won't be surprised if Hanzo wins that fight. I won't be surprised. But I'm locking it in there. And, of course, match 8, I already told you guys, it's Ito. It's Ito 100%. Ito's winning the next fight, too. Like, I am betting on Ito, like, twice. And if he loses, that really sucks for me, doesn't it? But, yeah, no, I'm putting money that he gets at least to the semifinals. I would put money on that 100%. So those are my predictions, though. What do you guys think? Let me know what you guys think, and what are your predictions down in the comment section down below. And if you don't count, once again, if you do or don't count my personal predictions from rounds 1 through 4 or matches 1 through 4, you know, that's fine. But right now I'm standing at 3-1, and as far as I'm concerned, and I'm looking forward to see what that total will be by the end of round 1 completely. Now, once again, once round 6 is over, we will likely be streaming, playing another catch-up. We'll go from the end of round 4, we'll read rounds 5 and 6 in the next catch-up stream. Instead of me reading, you know, month to month, week to week, and like letting you guys know and that kind of idea, I really enjoyed the stream. You guys seem to enjoy the stream, so we're going to continue that style. A little bit of a different read-through thing, more of a sort of a light commitment than an honest, you know, review-based month-to-month promise. You know what I mean? So I think that works out fine. So once again, let me know your rankings from rounds 1 through 4, and please no spoilers if round 5 is already over by the time this video comes out. I hear apparently it's not, but I'd really prefer that I don't get spoiled on that. And also, same idea is, but still let me know your rankings at the very least from rounds 1 through 4, any predictions for the rest of the rounds. I'd be very interested to hear from you guys. Let me know what you guys think of the video, and do you want more Tenkaichi videos? I don't really have any in mind right now, but feel free to suggest in the comment section down below. So that's that. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope it wasn't too long after I edit it. It might be an hour long, Christ knows. But like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you guys back here next time for some more Tenkaichi. And I'm not going to try to pronounce the rest of that title. Have a good one. Like, comment, subscribe. Bye.